Hey, lots of bots here. I am trading with pivots today, and pivots are used by traders, bankers, large institutions as a primary um, form of trading. And besides patterns, they're taught patterns, and they have also timing. Their algos, like what I use, are based on time. Well, right now, from this time around 8:50, which is right in here, 8:45 to 8:50. So 8:48 is real time, so that's why it's on this line right here. But that we should start selling until, let me go over and mark the exact time. Somewhere around. Let me go to my spreadsheet and see what we have here. I don't think it's that far. I think it's only 5 after. Well, short term it's closer to here, but longer term it's closer to around 10:05. So we should be going lower till around 10:05. Now, what you see here are pivots. Now, pivots are calculated off of your open and close and the high and the low of a daily range, or even weekly. You have weekly pivots too. I use daily, and there's two different types: your standard pivots and your fib pivots. Now, most floor traders and institutions, banks use pivots, and they use primarily fib pivots because they're the most well respected of the pivots, um, as well as patterns. Let me show you from last night, from yesterday's price. We broke down between the main pivot right here. From here, we started our sell, and the euro's been in a bearish move anyway. It went down to S1. You can see where it uh, had some congestion, but the primary candle right here, for example, was weak, so it enveloped price and took it all the way down to S2. Now, off of S2, it sharply bounced up, almost going all the way back up to S1. So now you have a form of your zigzag, right? Then you went all the way back down to test that pivot again. And since there was previous price action there, even though it went under it, that was strength, it then bounced in about half the range, a little over 50% of the range. And before finally congestion took over, and then you had your break. Now that break right here led to us trading all the way down to close to the S3. Now the S3 is very well respected, since we had a move straight down, broke S1, S2, and we're close to S3. We're probably going to trade all the way back up to S2, right? But here's the big but. That's not really going to be the case. From what point are we going to do this from? Well, I can tell you by looking at the pattern. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That we're likely going to test around the lows or lower, and maybe even into S3. Now, I tie that in with my algos the exact time to sell, and I want to be a seller right from here, which I am, from right around 1:30:10, and I want to do that for the next hour and 5 minutes exactly, which is till 10 after. And if I get a move under here, I'll probably just take my profits, but I won't predict the future. I'll see what happens. But the pattern that we have right here, off the lows, up, retrace, up, consolidate, retrace, and then we broke, and then up again. So it's like a little snake pattern again right here. And this right here is going to get sold, and we're likely going to break down until we go back to the lows or lower, and probably around S3, or maybe even lower, hopefully, since I'm in a sell. And we'll see then from here, S3 and under, we're going to bounce all the way back up to S2 is what I would look for us to have happen. But anyway, I'm not going to predict the future. I'm going to trade the best way I can see, and I'll be back in a little while. All right, lots of bots here. I'm back, and what I'm going to do is I am going to exit I've gotten close to 40 pips on this trade right here, and that's fantastic. But I believe that everything under here is really buying. So I'm going to get out of this trade. Boom, there we go. We're gone. So it was a fantastic trade, but we're going right into my buy time right here at um, at 10:05. So right now it is now 10:02. So I've got like 3 minutes. I'm going to be looking to get long here, and I'm going to look for us to go all the way back here. Now we're below S3. This push, this exaggeration that they have right here, this is all baloney. This is the market makers trying to create the perception of that the market's a sell when they're really buying. So let's go ahead and buy. And let's look to get long right here. We're under S3. That is good enough for me. And I just need it to hit 10:05 and then I'll be in a buy. So it's an example of how price often moves. Now I know that the institutional programs, they pushed it down to this level so they can trip the buys. So the institutions that you see this spike right here are really buying, and the market makers are filling orders left and right, and that's why you're getting this activity being so much. Now at some point this is going to envelop price and we're going to move back up to S2 after 10:05, which is what my algos are telling me. So we'll see if that occurs, and it should. There we go. All right, here we go. Boom. I am a buy right on S3. Fantastic. All right, and I'll be back later to see how this turns out. All right, lots of bots back here. Now what I've done is I've bought another position. Now since it's smaller size from my original one because it was with the trend, I've actually now taken a bit more size with this, and I'm going to be looking for us to trade all the way back up to S2. Now, I can pretty much tell that the market makers are really buyers here, but they're trying to create the perception of selling. So this should be an interesting trade when it reverses. I would definitely be looking for us to go all the way back up to support too. Um, this is really a dangerous thing to do. I would not recommend it for most traders. I have a very good understanding of how price reacts and if they're buyers or sellers. So I wouldn't recommend this to for you kids to try at home. But we'll see how it turns out. Uh, and I'll be back in a little bit. Lots of bots here. I was out of the room and I had my target at S2, and so I it went over and spiked all the way up, as you can see right there, and it did it really fast. I wasn't expecting it to do it that quickly, but hey, that's the way the market, and it went beyond the beyond S2 even. It went all the way up to here, which kind of makes sense. It's Friday, and people started to cover their shorts and take their profits and whatnot. So that's what you got. Um, and that pretty much does it for me, though. It hit the S2. That's all I wanted, and so that was an absolutely fantastic trade from 81 S3 and under, as you've seen from earlier. And that'll pretty much wrap it up for me today. Um, this happened out of nowhere very quickly. I was kind of expecting it would probably happen closer to around 2 or so, but it didn't. It happened right around 1. So an absolutely fantastic trade, and that's the art of pivots for you. I will have an article on binaryoptions.net that goes over and gives you the calculations for them. And in the future, you can go over and see how you can trade them. I'll bring up other educational pieces that you might find useful. Other than that, this is Lots of Bots. I'm out, and have a great weekend.